Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everybody to New Beginnings Q&A. So we found that this time of the year, time of festive activities and religious celebrations, it's Christmas time, that many converts, new Muslims, they may be confused and need a lot of guidance and support in how to navigate these celebrations, especially with we have a lot of family that will be celebrating and participating in these celebrations. So we decided to do this Q&A upon request, and we're opening the floor to questions for anybody that they may have around this time, and any other questions as well. The floor is open for people to ask, and hopefully we can navigate this season in a good manner. And as Imran mentioned, that there's no one blanket answer for everybody. Everybody's situation is unique and everybody's situation is different. So what might be appropriate for somebody might not be appropriate for your own situation. So we've got the first question from Sister Janet, who's in the US. And she's asking, some of my older children, they have not even acknowledged that I am Muslim. So they're not even acknowledging that she's a Muslim, and they expect Christmas gifts. And is it okay to send them a little something for the holidays? So this is an issue that comes up as well. We convert to Islam, but our children who didn't convert with us, some of them that may be older, we may have other, family members as well, that are celebrating and participating. They're probably thinking, last year it was okay for you to do it, but now you are not. So, the issue of sending gifts is something that scholars have spoken about, and actually discuss not Christmas, because Christmas didn't exist actually at that time, and Christmas was actually banned by some other Christians, the Puritans, for 200 years in England and the United States of America as well. And even now, you still get many Christians that do not celebrate Christmas, like Jehovah's Witnesses, for example. So they consider it something that is not part of Christianity, and something that was introduced later on from pagan customs. But scholars have discussed the issue of sending gifts to people on the occasion of their religious festivals. Okay, so they spoke about things like the Nowruz, which was a Persian festival of the equinox. Some of the scholars mention something that seems to resemble Easter, the celebration of Easter, or the resurrection of Christ as well, and participating in that. So, generally initiating sending these gifts from a legal aspect, the scholars, they won't allow this generally, for you to initiate sending gifts. And some of them, they will even say that if a person intends to do that, actually venerating that religious festival, then it could also constitute disbelief as well, if you're venerating a religious festival of another religion. However, the intention is very important here. So what are we intending by that? Those rulings, they probably don't apply to most converts and people who have accepted Islam coming from a different faith. So those rulings were speaking about a Muslim country in a Muslim environment where a person is practicing Islam all of their life. But even then, the scholars did mention that, let's say somebody's receiving a gift from somebody else because of their religious festival. So somebody sends you a gift. Is it okay for me to reciprocate that gift? So here they said that's fine. There's no problem in reciprocating the gift, not because it is Christmas or Easter or Diwali or Hanukkah or whatever, not on the occasion of that particular religious festival, but just out of social etiquette of reciprocating a gift. So they'll say things like, they can reciprocate the gift, but they shouldn't do it on that particular day of that religious festival. These are things. So the intention is very, very important here. Intention is very important, and Islam, commands us to keep good family ties as well. So you shouldn't just cut off and isolate ourselves from our family at these times of religious festivals. We should keep good family ties. But our intention is very, very important. So with that question, I don't see a problem with it. Sending them gifts is part of the reciprocation of giving a gift, but not because it's Christmas or not because it's Easter or Diwali or whatever. Just out of social etiquette and keeping good family ties. Okay, Amira, she's asking, I'm wondering how do I manage Christmas with my non-Muslim family, with my Muslim children? So there's another scenario. We have Muslim children, but we want to engage with our non-Muslim family as well. And maybe in the case of a female, she may have married a Muslim man, and that's not even a part of his culture, and he's thinking, why? Do we have to engage here? As my parents would want to see them and give them gifts, but I don't want to confuse them when they're young, thinking that we believe in the Christmas principle. So Muslims have been living with non-Muslims for decades, living in non-Muslim countries for decades. From a young age, there are many Muslims that have been brought up in non-Muslim countries, and they've had to engage in with other non-Muslims in their religious festivals. Okay, yeah, so it's about instilling, and they've not grown up to thinking that Christmas is something that is part of Islam or whatever. So it's about instilling those values. If we instill Islamic values in our children from a very young age, and explain to them, we have Eid, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be on him, upon him, he said that we have two Eids. The people in Medina, they used to have these two Eids that they would celebrate for historical battles, and they took these 2 days of Eid. And when the Prophet Muhammad came to Medina, he said that Allah should replace these two Eids with two Eids that are better than them, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. So instilling those values in them, and educating them about the difference between the two, and they should understand. They should understand that they shouldn't become confused. And it's not something that we do as Muslims, but when we engage, it's okay to engage with non-Muslims who are who are celebrating at this time of year. And you also have people who aren't Muslims in your family, so you have to learn how to navigate that as well. So I don't see any problem with that, as long as you still proper values. One of the things we should try to do is to make Eid better. So whatever we're doing at Eid, we have to make it a better celebration, a more enjoyable celebration than any other celebrations of other religions that our children may encounter. So they have lasting memories with them. Ellen is asking the ruling about sitting with Muslim family who drink alcohol for the sake of holding family ties. This is another problem as well. A lot of these parties or gatherings, that there may be people drinking alcohol or consuming prohibited meat, and you're a Muslim sat there and all of this is going on. We spoke about cannabis as well recently. We were speaking about cannabis. What about people smoking cannabis as well, which is now legal in many places. And you're sitting there. So the best thing for you to do here or what some people do is that they'll walk out. So if you're going to drink alcohol, then I need to leave. I can't really sit in that environment. There are some, scholars who differentiate between you going to a place where, the drink is being sold and people are going there solely to drink alcohol, or being in a place where the alcohol is just present. So there's a difference between being in a place where alcohol is present or being in a place where people are, intentionally drinking alcohol. So the ruling is between the two is different. But if you feel really uncomfortable in that situation, I would say, just leave and don't stay in that situation. And once we had last year, there was a brother, he's a recovering alcoholic, and he went to see his family. It was Christmas time, and he called me up after this happened. He said, I just took a drink. I thought it was orange juice. Then went upstairs to see some of my relatives. He says, and I took a sip of this drink, and I realized it had some alcohol in it. And he said it just sent me back so far. This is somebody who's a recovering, alcoholic. And he said it just sent me back so far. So it's not really a good environment to be in, to be honest with you, for a Muslim. And so sometimes we need to be firm on some principles as well, and take a stance early on. And we don't have to be rude as well. You don't have to be rude. Just say, respectfully, I've become a Muslim now. It's not really appropriate for me to be sat here whilst all of this is going on. And if your family respect you, they'll understand. Cindy, she's asking, so my family, they aren't happy that I reverted, and I'm the only one. I didn't revert for marriage, so I'm on my own. Can I go spend the day with them because my granddaughter doesn't understand? Spending time with family, the time of their religious festivals, there's no problem with it. There's no problem with it whatsoever. And we should, spend time if we're invited. We can go and spend time with them. So just because we're spending time with them doesn't mean that we're taking part in that religious festival. So again, we go back to our intentions. We were not going there intending to celebrate a particular religious festival. We're going there to keep good family ties, to spend time. Sometimes it's the only time of year where we can get the entire family together as well. So there's no problem with that. Some families, they'll get halal turkey, halal food as well. This has happened, numerous occasions, and they will accommodate as well for any Muslims that are in the family. So it's about spending time together and meeting up with other family members. Absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. The scholars actually mention, in the classical text, this is actually discussed. So they say somebody who's invited to a feast that is for another religious festival, or another religion's festival. If they just go there just for the food and drink, just to enjoy some food and drink, then there's absolutely no problem with that. So intentions, very, very important what our intentions are. And with Christmas in particular, only Christmas though, this doesn't apply to things like Easter and Diwali and other festivals. There are a minority of scholars, I don't agree with it, but there are a minority of scholars who actually say it's okay for Muslims to participate in Christmas itself. And celebrate. They don't explain how they would actually celebrate it or partake in it, but they say it's okay based on the fact that the day is a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, and as Muslims, we have to believe in Jesus Christ, otherwise we're not Muslims, right? So based on the fact that it is a day of veneration for that day that Jesus Christ was born, and the birth of Jesus Christ is mentioned in the Quran. The Quran speaks about the birth of Jesus and him saying, peace be upon me the day that I was born. That's what the Quran says, that Jesus said, peace be upon me the day that I was born, and the day that I will be, the day that I will die, and the day that I will be brought back to life. So based on these factors, there are a minority of scholars who actually permit Muslims to partake in from that viewpoint with that intention. But you'll find that, many will say that, no, we can't participate, so there is flexibility. Even with that, even with all, the things we mentioned previously, there's still some flexibility here amongst contemporary scholars about this matter. Which leads us on to the next question. Is it okay to say Merry Christmas, or what to say instead? So those scholars that say that it is okay for a Muslim to partake in Christmas, obviously this doesn't apply, to Easter and other events, because, Easter is about, the resurrection of Christ, which is something that we will categorically reject. But this topic, those scholars that say it's okay to partake in Christmas, they will say it's okay for you to even say Merry Christmas, because we're saying, may you have a happy celebration of the day of the birth of Jesus. And other scholars, they will say no, you cannot use this word Merry Christmas, because it is a day, connected to disbelief. So it would be inappropriate for us to say that to somebody. So here you could say, you could say happy holidays or whatever. Many secularists now they don't use this term Merry Christmas, season's greetings and so on or whatnot. You say, may Allah guide you, may Allah bless you with Islam, i.e. with Islam. So that's what some scholars, I know they do personally, and living in the UK, they say, may Allah bless you, which is actually, you might get a better response actually than responding Merry Christmas, meaning may Allah bless you with Islam, may Allah guide you to Islam. Okay, so most of the classical texts as well, they will say this is not something not permitted to greet non-Muslims on the day of their religious festivals. And some scholars, they claim that there is a type of agreement, there's a consensus amongst scholars on this matter. There are some scholars, some contemporary scholars that say, okay, we say it's not permitted for you to celebrate Christmas, but saying Merry Christmas, there is some leeway here. There is some leeway here. If the person is not intending to venerate that day, it's just part of social etiquette. Just like, they may say Eid Mubarak to a Muslim. So some scholars, contemporary scholars, they'll say that it's okay to say that. However, it's not based on any type of classical understanding. So some leeway. Can we go to visit family for Christmas dinner, spend time together? And should we not go? They know we're Muslim and they expect us to come as before, and we weren't Muslim. It's personal choice. So again, we just reiterate, this is not a one shoe fits all scenario. It's a personal choice. Do whatever you feel comfortable doing. I would say, generally we shouldn't just isolate ourselves. If you've been invited for Christmas dinner, then go there, eat halal food or have a vegetarian option, and spend time with your family. Sometimes, it can bring up conversations as well about religion as well. It could be a door, it could be a gateway of discussing Islam more. They might bring up the conversations. So they might say, why, what do you think about, Jesus as Muslims? Or it might bring up some other conversation as well. If you don't go there, then these conversations won't happen. So they know you're Muslim now, and they know that you're following a new religion and a different religion. So it may bring up some interesting conversations as well. But do whatever you feel comfortable doing. And not every gathering is going to be the same. So like we mentioned, if there's a lot of drinking there, that might be an uncomfortable situation. If there's a lot of alcohol and other stuff going on there, especially like work parties as well, it's probably just a lot of drinking and stuff if it's a work party. So you judge the situation and decide whether it is beneficial for you or not. Okay, so Samantha is mentioning she's from the US, very new convert in her early 30s, living with Christian parents. I myself trying to do things that make them comfortable, even when breaking away and having my new religious and cultural identity. My mother would like me to attend church, sing Christmas songs. This feels weird to me. So 2 tips on navigating this. So this really is where we need to draw a line. This is where we need to draw a line if you've chosen Islam. So attending church, and singing religious songs, that will be very problematic. That's going to be something very problematic. So I think it's good to sit down and have a discussion with your parents about this. Just explain to them, look, this is not something I'm doing out of disrespect. I've taught respect for you, and taught respect for your religion, my previous religion. But this is where the boundaries lie with me now. I don't expect you to expect from me, to go to church and, and sing, religious songs when I've left religion behind. So it might be a difficult conversation, but I say don't do things just to make them comfortable. Do things that make you comfortable. Allah's going to ask you about what you did. Be sincerity to yourself and sincerity to what you believe. Sometimes it's good to to have some type of boundaries at the beginning, at the early stages, and principles that you stick with. And they might find it strange in the beginning, but within time they will will come around it. They'll get used to it, they'll get accustomed to it, and they'll say, oh, Samantha, well, she's a Muslim now, and she doesn't come to church anymore. So it will take time, but it can be very lonely as well. It can be a very lonely situation, experience. So being at a place where prohibited meat is being consumed, so that could be an issue as well. That could be a problem as well. For some people, if there's people are consuming pork, and obviously they're not Muslims, so the ruling doesn't apply to them. But do you feel comfortable being in a place where that is happening? It's less severe than drinking, because there are narrations about sitting at a table where wine is drunk, and curse as well. The hadith mentions that different categories of people are cursed: the one who carries the wine, the one who sells the wine, the one who makes it, the one who sits, the one who drinks it, the one who sits at a table where it's. So with wine and alcohol, it is a bit more severe. But if you're in a place or sat at a table where people are eating pork as well, that is also an issue, or a lesser issue. That is also an issue with some jurists as well. I remember once I went to a family party. It wasn't a Christmas party, but I went to it was a birthday party, and there's a buffet out, and had some like, it was some like mixed food. I was eating it, and then my uncle said, "You know, it's got pork in there." Then I realized, and I actually put my fingers down my throat and vomited it out. My uncle was just just laughing. He's like, yeah, "We've got you to eat pork." So Sandra is asking, in my family put the nativity on together, the figures of Jesus, Maria, the angels are represented. Is it enough not to take part in installing? Are there other actions I should take into account? Intention, keeping my eyes off. Yeah, I think, if you're not taking part in putting it together, I think maybe some South American, cultures, they do this. And if you're not putting that together, that's fine. I don't see any problem watching it, in sitting there looking at it. Obviously, intention, has to be complete dissociation from it. This isn't something that, you're doing as an act of worship. Even within the nativity, the story doesn't even match up to what is in the New Testament. For most nativity place, about the three wise men and Jesus in the stable with the animals. The New Testament says the animals who were outside. Jesus wasn't even a baby at that time. He was, like a toddler age, and so on. And there weren't these three wise men. So I don't see any problem with watching it. I was sitting there, as long as you're not actively taking part in it. So Undine, she said, what should I answer if someone says Merry Christmas to me, not knowing I've converted? Should I politely thank them? I'm not ready to tell people that I converted. Yes, some people are hiding their Islam. Some people are hiding their Islam as well. They haven't publicized their Islam. So if there is a fear that you may get harmed physically, I mean, if somebody finds out that you're a Muslim and you're trying to hide it, there's a real fear of that, then you could just respond the same. If you're really in that situation, you want to keep it secret. But like I said, there are many other things we can reply to, that happy holidays, or say my Lord guide you. And of course, like we said, with Christmas only, there is some leeway. There is some leeway amongst contemporary scholars to even reply with the same. You could politely, thank them, but probably sound a bit weird. They don't know you. They might think you're an atheist, maybe. They don't know you're a Muslim. Thank you might sound a bit weird. I don't know. You just say enjoy your holidays, or one of the things mentioned in some of the texts is, may Allah give you whatever you deserve. So where is the red line? Generally speaking, how far can we go to keep our non-Muslim family happy? And where should we stop? It's a good question. So we have to have some type of boundaries. We have to have a red line. Okay. Even if our family is Muslim, what does the Quran say? If the Quran actually speaks about non-Muslim parents, actually. The Quran actually speaks here about parents that aren't Muslim, and said if they compel you to do something that is associating partners with Allah, then don't obey them. So it's important to keep good family ties and show kindness to our family, and even obey our parents. Okay, if they ask us to do something that is from the mundane actions or non-religious action, is if we have to obey our parents, even if they're not Muslims. But if they ask us to do something that is against our religion, to disbelieve or do something that is sinful, or even disliked in the religion, then here we can draw a red line. Here we can set our boundaries. And you know what, again, we don't have to be abrupt. We don't have to just cut off and not say anything. We don't need to just isolate and not engage. You know, have a discussion, speak to them, engage with them, be polite about it, and you know, they should understand. They should understand. So Brody is saying it's hard to navigate the alcohol and pork issue living in a family home. Yeah, it is difficult when you convert in a household and everybody in the household is, you know, having pork and bacon and alcohol, and you're in that, you're living there at the same time. So we get halal meat, but if we're having dinner together, there's often alcohol being consumed at the table. You know, any advice? You know, there are two things you can do. You can either, you know, walk away from the table. You can walk away from the table, or you can politely ask them. Like my non-Muslim family, we still, you know, go out for meals, and you know, they'll ask, you know, about having alcohol at the table. You know, they'll respect, you know, our wishes not to consume that whilst we're there. So, you know, if you explain to them and you talk with them and engage with them, then usually they don't have any problem with it. There is an opinion in the Hanafi school of law that allows a person to sit there at a table as long as it's not wine being drunk. You know, it might be a beer people use to wash down the food of a meal. There is an opinion in the Hanafi school that allows you to sit there as long as the alcohol the drink is not wine. You know, so wine, brandy, champagne, from that category. So that is one opinion mentioned. The Janice saying, I lost all of my family at law, except my children when I converted. They no longer speak to me. I know they're supposed to work to maintain family ties. I think it is past that in my case. Is it okay to just let those ties go? I'd say no, to be honest with you. Just try to engage. If they don't want to engage, you know, that's upon them. But I'd say, you know, try every once in a while to maintain those ties if you can. But you know, obviously your mental well-being and your spiritual well-being comes first. So if it is draining you, if it is bringing you down, then you know you have to think about yourself first. You know, but if there is an opportunity for you to maintain those ties, then take the opportunity, even if they're refusing to engage. Always try your best to keep those ties. You know, sometimes it does take them a while to come around. You know, we know people who converted. They say, you know, after 10 years, you know, my dad never spoke to me after I converted, and now he's only just starting to engage. You know, so sometimes something can change them, and they might come around. So never give up hope. You know, and we pray that Allah guides all of our families as well to Islam, and softens the hearts of those that may become harsh towards us because of us becoming Muslim. So Adrian is asking, I have a bit of out of topic question. That's fine. Any other questions, even out of topic, that's fine. You can ask them. It's open for everybody. Christian parents. So my dad always impersonates you, making the sign of a cross in my head and chest and saying goodbye. Okay, all right. Impersonates me, making the sign of a cross. Been doing it for as long as I can remember. What would be appropriate to do? I also see it as a way of him showing me his love. Does he know that you are Muslim? No. No. How would he react if you are? So he knows you're Muslim, but you just maybe just ask him to refrain from doing it, or it won't make any difference to you if he does that, or to be honest with you. But if you feel uncomfortable, then you speak to him respectfully and ask him to refrain from doing it. But if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, and you think that if I speak to him, he won't understand anyway, then it won't make any difference to your faith whatsoever. Or maybe you could suggest it in a more appropriate way of him saying goodbye to you. Maybe giving a hug or something else. Maybe you can hug him before he does it. So Haley's asking, this is my first Christmas since taking my Shahada. My daughter's in her early teens and likes to decorate for Christmas. Is this okay? Or is there a way to meet in the middle? Yeah. So that's it's difficult. This is another issue as well that comes up. So we convert, but we have our children that are around that age, that's still not Muslim and engaging in Christmas. Maybe sit down and discuss it with her. Not too sure. Maybe she can do that. Obviously, if it's in her own space, you should allow her to do that. If it's in her own space, you should allow her to do that. Maybe you can allow her to do that at another relative's house. She wants to engage in that. But speak to her and try to find some type of balance. So Melina is asking, should I first talk to my family about taking my Shahada at the mosque, or do it in secret and tell later on? I feel like telling before is more loving and respectful. Yeah, it's probably a good idea if you feel that they'll have a better response if you tell them before, and you feel that they will feel more respected by doing that. I would definitely advise you to speak to them first. But sometimes it just happens, conversion or the Shahada. Sometimes it just happens without us even planning it as well. Then our family get told about it later on. Or some people, they fear a negative reaction from their family, so they do it first and then tell them later on. Or they feel they might get pressured into refraining from conversion, or other negative consequences may arise from it. So they do it first and they tell the family afterwards. But if you feel that it will be positive and beneficial, then definitely speak to them first. And it says, my family never stopped drinking to make me feel more comfortable. I don't want to run off or something because I live in the same house as them at the minute. Yeah, if you're in the same house, it's really, really unavoidable. They drink the whole day of Christmas, so I don't know how to separate myself from being around it. Yeah. If you're in the same house, it's unavoidable. Completely unavoidable, isn't it? So if you can't avoid it, then you will be excused here. But some scenarios we can avoid it, can't we? In those scenarios, we have more options available here. But if it's you're living there and it's everywhere, it will be very difficult for you to avoid it. But if you're not comfortable, then just minimize your time in those environments. I've never liked pork. it smells unpleasantly to me. My family members know that I didn't eat it when being a Christian either. That's good. So there's no danger of accidentally consuming it. Is it still problematic to sit at the same table with other people eating it without imposing my beliefs on them, or avoid those gatherings? Yeah, so with things like food, it's less severe, and people drinking wine and being sat there. So with things like food, it's a lot less severe, much more leeway here involved. Yeah, so my son started going to school this year. They did a lot of Christmas crafts and activities. Any suggestions what I could do for my son in this case? Which area is it? Are you living in Essex? So what you can do is you can put a request to the school. Is your son a Muslim though, or is your son? So your son's a Muslim, yeah. So you can put in a request to the school for them not to participate in those activities. The school will accommodate for that. The many Jehovah's Witnesses as well. They do the same. So you can put in a request to the school for them not to participate in that. And I know some converts as well. Or Muslims in general, that they don't allow their children to participate in religious education as well at school. So you can put in a request to the school for them not to participate in those activities. I remember my daughter, she's at Islamic school now, but she was at secular primary school. They're doing these Christmas parties and songs and stuff. We've actually, the school is 95% Muslim. The school is 95% Muslim. So I spoke to the teacher and said, why you're celebrating Christmas, when the school is 95% Muslim. And she said, we don't want to isolate the one or two that are celebrating it, and they really, but Eid is not really, they don't put as much effort in when it comes to Eid, even though the school is 95% Muslim. So I had to withdraw from all of that. And then my wife was asking some of the other Muslim families as well, and speaking to them about it. And they were saying, you're right, but we're scared to say anything because we get labeled as terrorists or extremists. So we just let them do it. So the school will then say, well, all the other Muslim kids are doing it. Because Muslims, we have this weak mentality of inferiority. That's the problem. So what can we as Muslims do to involve our non-Muslim families in Eid, or at least in understanding the importance of Eid celebrations to us? Yeah, so it's a good point as well. We should invite them to our Eid gatherings, bring them for food, get them engaged as well. Try to help them to understand the importance of the Eid as well. I know some of you are pretty much isolated as well when it comes to Eid, which is another problem. But if we're living in Muslim communities, then we try to engage our families in the Eid celebrations as well. That could be a great door of establishing good relations and also inviting to Islam as well. At New Beginnings, we always say that the non-Muslim families are more than welcome and encouraged to come to our Eid events. Definitely. So always invite them, or take them out, or send them gifts. Yeah, so Katazina is, it says in my country, a very important moment of Christmas being sharing a special type of wafer while exchanging wishes. This is some type of bread, is it, that you give out? So Katazina is from Poland. So, they hand out some type, is it bread, some type of bread? Similar to communion wafer, and sometimes blessed with holy water at church. Participating in the Christmas celebration without doing it is really awkward. Is it very important part of the culture what to do? So I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, because I don't know exactly what it entails. If it's just food, that doesn't have any religious connotation or any connection with worship, then that's fine. Yeah, eating the flesh of Christ, and so that's a problem. That if it has religious connotations, then really should try to avoid it if you can. Yeah, it could be very, very problematic, actually. And also, if it has any type of religious significance or worship, significant connection to back to the worship, then that should definitely be avoided. How to get around it, I'm not too sure how you can get around it. Is there something else you can give instead, maybe, instead of that particular wafer? Is it okay to, just say I'm abstaining from it? I'm not too sure. People feel offended. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. We have to, find ways to be diplomatic. We have to find ways of being diplomatic as convert Muslims. So we need to find ways out. Sometimes we can't as well. Sometimes we might have to upset people as well, where we need to draw the line. But if we can find ways to be more diplomatic and navigate that would be good. So how do you get around it, Katarzyna? Any Polish people what suggestions do you have? What do you normally do then in Poland? Visit on the second day of Christmas to avoid it. Okay, so it's only done on Christmas Day, right? Yeah, so you convert to Islam, to explain that it's not allowed. Sometimes you do have to have, you do encounter uncomfortable situations. It's like the culture of men and women touching each other as well. Like in this culture, it's fine for men and women who are not related to each other just to touch each other, even though it's not something really allowed in Islam. So sometimes we encounter these tricky situations. We don't want to offend people, and we want to keep good ties, but we also have to be firm on our boundaries as well. Yeah. Cassinia, not wine and beer. So according to Abu Hanifa, there is a difference between the two. So the Quran, it mentions khamar, and the Hadith, it mentioned khamar. And khamar is an alcoholic drink taken from fermented grapes. So it's grapes that have been left that have been juiced and left to ferment until they become intoxicating. And he said this is where the prohibition lies when it comes to these narrations speaking about a person being cursed and whatnot. And the rationale is that all types of drinks, they will have, especially strong drinks, they will have some type of intoxication involved in them. But because wine, khamar, has been categorically mentioned, then the prohibition is restricted to wine only, and not beer and other types of alcohol. So that's the reasoning behind it. Even though getting drunk from those types of alcoholic drinks is also prohibited, but he says that the other prohibitions that are connected to wine, they don't apply to other alcoholic drinks. So Janet says, a medical facility here that offer prayer before the doctor comes in, they tend to end with in Jesus Christ's name we pray. How can we be diplomatic in this situation without offending them? So what role would you be playing as a Muslim here? As a medical facility, they pray before the doctor comes in. You mean as you're a nurse and they do like a group prayer, or what's the situation here? Yeah, you're still gonna hurt them. That's the hard part. Is there not something else you can give in exchange, maybe? Or there must be another way out. So the minister comes in for each patient. Surely you can refuse to have a minister come in if you're a patient. Surely you can refuse to have that, or you can just ignore the minister if he comes in. And you probably wouldn't want to waste his time as well if you're not interested. Okay, I think that's the end of our Q&A then. So like we mentioned, we just reiterate that it's not a one size fits all for everybody. Some people are in more intense and difficult situations than others. And for some people it's a lot easier, and people are at different stages of their Islam as well. So we need to take that into account. But feel free to contact us at New Beginnings and reach out if you need any help from any of us. We're always here, as you know. So thanks for coming, everybody. May Allah bless you, and may Allah keep you safe.